Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
So let's kind of reintroduce yourself to our viewers. Who are you? What are you running for?
I'm Will Martin. I'm a common sense conservative, and I'm running for lieutenant governor.
So you say common sense conservative. What does that mean to you?
It means having pragmatic solutions. Right now, I think we get too trapped in ideology, and so I'm really focused on making sure state government actually works for the people. That's my focus.
No, and I was looking at your campaign website, and some of the things you said on your campaign website was kind of making, shrinking the government, things like that. What does that look like to you?
Yeah, well, look, we've got 5 agencies that do economic development in the state of Wisconsin. I don't think for a state of under 6 million people, we need 5 agencies to do that. So that's part of what it is. It's also looking at the fact that we've got 2.5 million square feet of office space at a very time when we actually have people working from home. So getting those buildings sold and back on the tax rolls, it's about making sure that we get a slimmer, more streamlined government that actually works for the people again.
And so we're seeing a similar approach with the Trump administration right now. Is that a kind of approach that you would like to take here in Wisconsin?
Well, I want to make sure that it makes sense. And so really looking with the next governor to consolidate agencies. We've got over 70 agencies, departments, commissions, and boards. Again, just don't need that much government. We're actually spending more per capita than half the nation.
Well, if that's half the nation, wouldn't that put Wisconsin kind of right in the middle there?
In the middle, but for a state that's only less than 6 million people.
So you think that there's work to do here?
Yeah, so I would tell you that we're spending more per capita than Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Illinois is broke. So I think the fact that we're spending more than Illinois per person here is putting us on a bad financial path.
And so also on your campaign website, you talked about people not being able to afford homes and feeling the burdens of tax. How do you plan to address those issues that you say in your website?
We actually have a $3 billion agency right now in the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority, which is really built to make sure that we can make housing more affordable, helping push to make sure that they're actually doing this 72 counties wide, not just a few counties that are closer to Madison, closer to Milwaukee. So making sure that we actually get back to building around the state. We have not built to really accommodate the growth in our population, and it's driving up the cost. Also, regulation is so much part of something like a third or more of housing costs now are regulation.
And Madison specifically has a housing crisis. Rent is very expensive here. It's hard to find units. The vacancy rate is very not set to national standards. How would you work with city governments like Madison to make housing more affordable for people?
We've got to look at the zoning and make sure that we're actually incentivizing folks to build. But look, it's over, rents are up over 30% in Milwaukee and other metro areas. I live in Racine. There's very little inventory there as well. So for folks that are trying to start out their lives, we're not even talking about building a new home. A new house, a house, not just a new house, a house in Wisconsin is now $330,000 to $350,000 on average. Young people aren't going to be able to do that. And so we're actually having young people leave this state to find their opportunity elsewhere. We've got Young at Heart who are leaving because of the taxes.
Now, I want to move a little bit more towards your campaign here, because you also ran for this position back in 2022. Right. So why are you running again?
So I came into the race late last cycle, and it was a very crowded field. We had we had 9 people who were running then. This time around, what I've done differently is I have stuck with it. So for 3.5 years, 100,000 miles across the state in that time frame. So I just really never stopped. I continue to get out here and help the state party, the county parties, etc. So worked on the last 2 constitutional amendments to make sure that we protected voting rights here, ensured that voter ID was required to prove who's voting in our state. So I just continue to be active. That's the big difference now that I'm much better known. I worked for the last 2 Republican governors, Governor Thompson, Governor Walker, and they know me. The administration knew me, but a lot of people in the grassroots didn't, and now they do.
And I want to get to those constitutional amendments here in a moment, but I want to kind of stick on your campaign plan right now. Who is your target right now? Who are the folks that you're really trying to mobilize?
Every Wisconsinite. I think I want to do this like Tommy Thompson. I really believe that every Wisconsinite should be a part of the conversation, and I want to hear from all of them.
And what kind of money are you looking to generate right now? Where are those campaign finances coming from for you?
That's always an issue. And so we just had our first fundraiser on day 2, ended up with double the number of people there that we expected. So I think it's again an outgrowth of having gotten to be known around the state, and so yeah, we'll be certainly raising a lot of money around the state.
Is there a dollar amount that you're looking at right now?
Well, I think really right now we're looking at raising at least $100,000 in short order, and then we'll rapidly move from there.
And are there folks specifically that you're looking to kind of generate that financial support from?
Again, all and everyone, right? So it's part of making sure it's a sad thing that it costs so much, but recognizing that this is a really large state. This is 66,000 square miles. It's a big state. I did not know you could actually melt down a catalytic converter, but I just did a couple of weeks ago. So it's very possible here.
And I want to get now to something you brought up a little bit earlier, which was those constitutional amendments. Talk to me a little bit about your role, especially with that citizenship language that we saw last November.
Yeah, citizens only. And so a lot of people were of the mind that only citizens could, in fact, vote in Wisconsin elections. But with so many court cases having come up in recent times, and there are parts of the United States where non-citizens are, in fact, allowed to vote, we decided to enshrine in our Constitution that only citizens can vote in Wisconsin elections. I helped to spearhead that as a part of a statewide campaign. Did the same thing on voter ID, ensuring that every person who votes is required to show a valid state-issued voter ID.
And I want to push back on this a little bit because under federal law, it is illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections.
In federal elections.
Well, why did you think this was something that we needed in Wisconsin?
Because again, we also have our April elections. Those are nonpartisan elections, and those happen. And you could, in fact, have communities that could have allowed non-citizens to vote in those, as has happened around the country in several states.
And so we're talking about immigration right now. Where is your stance on immigration and immigration enforcement agencies and things like that in the state?
Oh, this is a nation of immigrants, and so of course we welcome people, but we welcome them to come in the appropriate way. So to do it lawfully, and again, it's also the case. I've met with so many people who have waited years to actually come into the country lawfully, and so making sure that we're not actually impinging on their rights. They've been in line for, as I say, in some cases for years, making sure that we're actually keeping faith with those folks too.
And what are some other priorities that you're focusing on in this campaign? Yeah,
well, look, I think the idea that AI and automation are just disrupting entire industries, and the state of Wisconsin doesn't have a plan for that right now. We've got the second highest concentration of manufacturing jobs. What industry is most likely to see robotics happen? Amazon just, the story was out yesterday about up to 600,000 jobs that will actually use robots instead of people. Our state's not ready for this right now. One of the things I want to do is to make sure that we're bringing together K-12, our colleges, our unions, our business community to talk about the future of manufacturing in the state and making sure that our people are ready for that with the right skills and the right programs, so we're not replaced by automation. We're actually thriving in spite of it.
And you're talking about manufacturing, so I want to get your take on the Trump administration's push to kind of these tariffs to bring manufacturing back to the states. Do you agree with that argument that that's the way to bring manufacturing back to Wisconsin?
I think it's one of the ways that this federal government is doing. I think the real way for Wisconsin to do it is to make sure that we are the most pro-business state in the nation. Right now, it's very difficult to do business. We have lost 1,000 jobs last month alone, with just 6 companies closing because those plants closed here in the state. We're making it difficult for people to do business here. I think the right way for Wisconsin is to make sure we're pro-business, and we're making sure that we have the right incentives to keep growing. We also need to make sure that there's more technology related jobs here. As the world is moving in that direction, we've got to make sure our young people and our young at heart are ready for those opportunities.
And kind of last question here for you. You're one of the first candidates to get into this race. What makes you stand apart?
Yeah, well, the fact that I worked for the last 2 Republican governors, and so I understand how government works. I've worked actually in the governor's office. I've worked in liaison across a number of the state departments. Knowing where the overlap is, knowing the redundancies in state government, knowing how to help the next governor cut this budget. We're going to have a structural deficit 2 years from now when this biennial budget is over. Having somebody on that ticket who understands where we can cut and make sure that we're using a scalpel, not a mallet in this process, right?
Wonderful. I think that's about all I have for you today. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.